Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who is the reigning champion, Kyle. Kyle, how's it going?
Doing great. Ready to repeat now. That's the most important thing. Is once you win, you got to win again. That's the most important championship. Is the next one. That's what the great Tom Brady would say.
That's true, Kyle. Yeah, you're already look at you. You're already talking dynasty. It's like the like the Seahawks after one. It's like how much can we get?
Yeah, I'm always looking ahead, man. You know, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8. Here we go. Let's do it. Maybe
Okay. 9. Yeah, Kyle ready for nearly a decade of championships. Kyle, I am pumped up to be back. We are finally here. We are finally talking NFL football here. It feels like, the season's here. Tomorrow there's a game. We're doing the previews. Like, we did it. We made it through the offseason.
We made it through the offseason, indeed. Week 1 is always the toughest week for me because, obviously, we haven't seen these teams on the field, right? Like we haven't seen them on the field, so that makes it always very difficult. And so that's why these picks are always feels like we get the most points wrong on week 1. Feels like our locks are always wrong, but yeah, I'm very excited for it. Excited to see some live football. I haven't watched a lot of college this season. So yeah, this is like my first introduction back into the sport again after a long off season.
Yeah, I actually caught a decent amount last week. You didn't miss much, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm pretty over college football. I'm not going to lie. And the whole, like, everything changed, all these teams changing conferences. I'm over the realignment stuff. I think it all stinks. I think it's ruined the sport. That's my opinion.
Well, before we get too down on ourselves, Kyle, I will say this. Incredible week 1. We're taking way too long already because we have so much to get to. But incredible week 1 slate. There are so many fantastic games. Of course, the first game will be the largest spread out of any of them, the Cowboys-Eagles, unfortunately. Let's start there. Before we get into any of the games, we have to talk about this. We have not talked about Micah Parsons. Oh, no, the banner color is off again. I have to fix that. Why does this happen? Let's see. Okay, I got it back. Kyle, Micah Parsons is now a member of the Green Bay Packers. I, believe it or not, am not as crazy about trading for a premier edge rusher as it seems like the general public is. Can I give my 2-minute why I think this is maybe not a great move for the Green Bay Packers before we get into anything else?
Yes, go.
So essentially my logic is, like, without getting too into the weeds, I don't, for paying a edge rusher $47 million a year very rarely gives you the results that you are hoping for with that kind of money. I think that for an edge rusher, even an elite edge rusher, you're talking probably not even getting you a full win added to your record. I don't think a lot of people buy into that, but that tends to be what ends up happening. And I feel like you're essentially taking on a not great contract and giving 2 first-round picks to do it. Now, Parsons will be cheap this year. He won't be quite as expensive the next 2 years, and then he'll be really expensive the following 2 years. So it could still work, but it feels kind of like an all-in push. So I guess I won't say I completely dislike it, but it feels like the Packers are really going for it this year, and I think it'll end up kind of hurting them in the long run, which may be okay, but that's how I view this move.
Yeah, I think there's like we've been on this corner. We are both, pass rushes, elite pass rushers are probably a little overrated in the grand scheme of things. The quarterback is the most important part. We all know we have been on this side. It seems like for the entire time we've done this podcast, you more so than me even. I do think though that like there is a world where I could justify trading a big haul and also paying a guy like Micah Parsons. I think it's justifiable when you think you can win a Super Bowl. And clearly the Packers think they can. So, just like looking at it last season too, like this team was the 4th best defense by EPA per play. They were the 4th best drop back EPA per play team. So they had success last season already in this sort of system. And you're adding a guy next to Rashawn Gary, who's maybe the best pure pass rusher in the league. He's obviously got some other faults. He's up there in the conversation with the best of the best. But I still think I still have questions if the Packers can win a Super Bowl, because I don't think I would pick them right now as my favorite. And so, yeah, I think it's a very interesting dilemma in how you do this and how you justify it. But it's clearly they think they're getting a difference maker on their defense, and I can justify it a little bit. But, I think there's been a lot talked about the Cowboys side of it. And, I think starting from the Packers side of it's a little more interesting because, this team thinks they can win it all. And unfortunately, them winning it all to me still comes down to number 10, not number 11 on the other side of the ball.
Number 1 now.
Is that his number now?
Yeah, wow. He changed to 1, which is I don't get why. Yeah, 11 was such a good number for him. Yeah, but I mean, the thing about the Cowboys is listen, clearly they're just not a good organization, and they completely screwed up this whole situation. But I don't think it's the end of the world to be getting a couple first round picks and not paying Micah Parsons this big contract. Again, you're already paying back this big contract, so it's kind of they're not gonna do what they need to do with this. The Cowboys are not going to succeed with this plan that they have, right? It doesn't seem like they even have a plan. So ultimately, I do not trust the Cowboys to win the trade just because I don't trust the Cowboys. But yeah, I don't think in a vacuum, I don't think it's crazy to trade a player who's about to get paid a ton of money and get a couple first round picks back. Like the Jalen Ramsey comparison, Jalen Ramsey, if you adjust for inflation, was still making less than half of what Micah Parsons is going to be making. That's the difference here.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the issue I have with the Cowboys situation is why do they make this some big grand scheme of things? The player is now burning the bridges and causing they did this with Dak the year before they eventually paid him, and CD Lamb and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know. It just feels like that was I just think the way they've handled these situations obviously leaves a bad taste in a lot of their fans' mouth and a lot of other people's mouths as well, that I think has a lot of issues that stem from this to begin with. And then I just think I think in a vacuum, yes, I think justifying paying, I think the numbers came out to if you paid Micah Parsons, Dak Prescott, and CD Lamb their average annual salaries, it comes out to 52% of the salary cap. Or something like that. That's a lot. So yeah, I think that is a extreme number. And I can justify not wanting to do that. Now the question is Micah Parsons the one you should have, put your foot in the ground for, or should it have been one of the other guys like Dak Prescott, for example? I think there's a lot of conversation to be had about that, but I do think my biggest issue with the Dallas Cowboys thing is there was rumors of getting potentially a third receiver like a Romeo Doubs in this situation, a Lucas Van Ness who's imperfect but a decent defensive end, and instead they get a Kenny Clark who is a 30-year-old defensive tackle, which makes sense. They got to fix their run defense issues, but he's also just hasn't been very good in the last few years. I just feel like it was the Cowboys' move of getting a name and not actually someone who's going to make a difference again. And yeah, I think the Cowboys definitely take a step back and then are hoping to hit on these picks.
Yeah, and they're not a team that uses cap space too much. So the extra cap space might not help them out with that either. So again, they're a weird organization. I don't fully get the plan for Dallas. So I get I will defend the trade in a vacuum. It's weird, Kyle, because I always love trading pass rushers, but it's the team that I constantly talk about as a dumb organization is the one who does it. And so now I feel what do I do?
Yeah, and it's just also one of those things where this team has been so built on star power for how many years? We say it year after year on the podcast. That's just kind of how they've operated. We saw this defense without Parsons last season, and you didn't do a whole lot of difference with this defense as far as names. What is the solution then? How do you fix this? And then I think the other aspect of this is we say, we don't value elite pass rushers like everybody else. We think a secondary is most important. But I also say in general, you can't suck at anything. Yeah. That's the overall goal. And I mean, this has got to be bottom 3 pass rush group in the league. I like Nealand in the draft, but he didn't show much his rookie year. They got Sam Williams, Dante Fowler. They drafted the Boston College kid. That's a rough situation, I think, as you're looking at it now without Parsons too.
It's tough. Kyle, we could probably do a full 60 minutes on Micah Parsons, but we're here to talk week 1 here. Finally, the offseason is over. Of course, the biggest story of the offseason happens like right before the season starts, so we had to touch on it. Kyle, for the first time, I'm going to give you a game to kick off the season because you won the season. So I will give you the first game, and you know what? Let's just stick with this. This is, I think, the biggest game of this week, perhaps. Lions-Packers, a thumbnail game. Let's just jump into it right off the bat. Who do you got? The favored Green Bay Packers, 2.5 points. Where are you going?
Yeah, very, very interesting game. I agree with you. I do think one of the things that I think is going to be interesting about this trade is, like, I think everyone knows Parsons is excellent, and they're right. But I don't think people watch Parsons a lot down to down. And they are going to see, this already wasn't a good run defense to begin with. And I think they're going to see a lot of problems with that early on, especially as it sounds like he's dealing with a back injury as it is. So I got the Lions in this game because I think even with the depleted offensive line, I think the Lions' rushing attack is going to cause a big problem here. I think Gibbs could go off for a big game. I think Montgomery is going to do his normal touchdown vulture stuff and just be involved too. And I think the Lions are going to be able to run it down their throat. So give me the Lions in this game.
Yeah. I agree. I also had the Lions. I was kind of hoping you'd go with the Green Bay Packers. I mean, we've seen teams run at Micah Parsons as a way to kind of take him out of the game, essentially. You wear him out by running at him. And then, that's a way you can make that work. I don't know. I find this to be really fascinating because my first reaction was, I think a lot of our first reactions, wait, the Packers are favored in this game all of a sudden? The Packers, I think, are favored to win the division now after the Parsons trade, which felt like kind of an overreaction. I was curious to ask the community who they think would win this game. 60% are with us, have the Lions. I do think, though, that, the Lions are a bit of a wild card here. The new look offensive line, we'll see how that goes. Both coordinators are gone. Will take time for this to fully work out. Whereas I guess I kind of view these teams as pretty similar. I think their defenses on paper are pretty similar. I think that the supporting cast is pretty similar. I think, the Packers don't have an Amon-Ra St. Brown, but they do have a bit more depth in the weapons room. And then the Packers tackles aren't quite as good, but the interior is better offensive line wise. I think just the two biggest things are the Packers have, in my opinion, a coaching staff I just trust a lot more because I've seen it before. And then the Lions have a much better quarterback. So I'm curious to see what's going to win out here.
Yeah, I think there's a ton of interesting elements to this. The coordinators is the most fascinating thing. We have to see how this hums because Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn were as good as it gets, right? So I definitely think that's going to be an interesting element to this game. How the play calling works, how the game script works. I think one of the things I just keep coming back to, though, is I'm a little worried about it. Do I think that they could shave off a couple points off their points per game in their just overall efficiency EPA without Ben Johnson? Yes. But I also and the defense too, but I also just think there's really good players here. I really do believe the defense is going to be better this season than last season, just on paper. Granted, you don't know. Defense is fluky, but I think DJ Reed in year 2 Terrion Arnold can be a lot better than Carlton Davis in year 1 Terrion Arnold. I think that they added to their defensive line, which they needed, especially in the interior. I think they got really interesting pieces there. And then the offense just still has really good players to me. They still have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a star. They still have Jahmyr Gibbs, who's a star. Jared Goff is just as efficient as ever, I think. They have good depth there. People are really excited for this Tesla, not the car, the receiver. We'll see if he's having an impact in this game or on this team this season. But yeah, I mean, it is one of those things where, there is still so much unknown because it does feel like the same Lions team at its core, but there is still so much new that we have to see the elements of. So I'm definitely interested to see that. My biggest thing, though, is I'm not sure this Green Bay defensive line, particularly the interior, is built to expose the weakness of the Detroit interior offensive line. And I think that's where Detroit's going to be all right in this game. Could there be games in the future that I have issues with? I think we see some weaknesses. Yes. I don't want to see this team play Philadelphia right away. But I do think against a team like Green Bay, who is going to be playing Colby Wooden and Devontae Wyatt in the middle. Wyatt's, he came along a little bit last season, but I still think that's an area where I think Detroit's going to survive.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, a couple points, to build off of your Lions defense point, I think people forget the Lions defense was good to start the year last year. It just got so ravaged by injuries. I would also say a lot of new parts defensively, a new coordinator, Matt LaFleur, not who I would want to go against to test this out right away. He can get people out of position with the best of them. I just think that this is such a, from a storyline perspective, it's like the Lions finally have taken over the division. Now they're going to Lambeau, trying to see if they can maintain this stranglehold, or would the Packers leapfrog them once again. This is becoming a really fun rivalry, and I'm excited for it. This should be a primetime game. I mean, this is good stuff.
It's great stuff. It's a great, this division always just brings great games. It feels like, and the other aspect is, like you said, the Packers fans are over the moon right now. They are just so excited for this situation. I had one friend that said that they're winning the Super Bowl now. I had a fantasy draft yesterday. They got taken round 9 of a 15-round draft. I thought that was insane.
Wait, the defense did?
Yes, they think this defense is going to be awesome.
Interesting.
Which is probably going to be good. So I'm not going to justify that. It was a top 5 defense last year statistically, and they had Micah Parsons. But
yeah, God,
there's still a whole lot of elements to this I still don't know. And like I said, which version of Jordan Love are we getting? They had a big game week 1 last season. Granted, that was in Brazil. There was a whole lot of elements that added to that, but he didn't play well in that game. So can we get a Jordan Love that's going to come out guns firing and get this Packers offense rolling, which is probably going to be relying a lot on a rookie receiver and Jaden Reed, who's playing through a foot fracture, which isn't something I love, even though I love Jaden Reed. So I think there's an interesting element too, where there's a lot about this Packers defense against the new Lions offense. I think the Packers offense has a lot of questions still to answer for me too.
Yeah. I agree. Let's move on, Kyle. We're 18 minutes into the show. We've covered one game, so we have some work to do. If we're going to keep this under an hour, might be a little bit of a longer show. Second game, what are you going to give me?
Yeah, there's a couple very interesting candidates. Obviously, there's another big marquee game. However, I'm going to go a different direction here because, the first element of this is I don't want to pick it right now because it's also my team, but it's also 2 teams that I was also pretty excited about this offseason. I'm kind of buying into both of these teams a little bit. So I'm going to give you the Raiders Patriots as my first game because I think there's a version of both of these teams that are pretty good, and I want to hear your thoughts as a unbiased party.
Well, when you hear me and Raiders, unbiased is usually a word that comes to your mind. Yes, I agree. I have the Raiders. Give me the Raiders to win this one. Sorry, Kyle, but legitimately, this was my first game, and I just said we can't start off the show with Raiders Patriots. With all due respect to that, let's bump Lions Packers as the number 1 here. But no, you're exactly right. These are 2 teams that expect to be better. I know there's a lot of hype with the Patriots. I just think these are 2 teams with so many moving parts. I don't know what's going to happen, but I just kind of feel like the Raiders, that should work sooner, I guess. I'm ultimately going to trust how can you pass the ball down the field, and I feel like the Raiders' philosophy of let's run the ball, let's have play action over the middle. They played a ton of preseason. They seem ready. I just feel like for week 1, I'm just leaning that way. I like a lot of the Patriots things. I think by the end of the year, I think the Patriots will be very good, or at least good, but I think it might just take a little bit more time.
I think I agree with that. It's definitely an interesting one. I think the first element to it is Christian Gonzalez. I don't think is going to play. I think there's a low chance he plays, honestly. But we're going to see how that plays out. He still hasn't practiced this week. But as you said, this team's going to run the ball, throw it over the middle, and play action. So maybe this isn't the one. This isn't necessarily the team I think is going to expose a Christian Gonzalez-less Patriots defense as it is. Plus, I think the Patriots do have corner depth this year, which helps, along with having 2 good starters. So a lot of this game is going to be coming down to, I think, a lot of the new look faces of the Patriots defense. We have the interior, which is now Milton Williams, Kyrie's Tonga, and Christian Barmore back and healthy. That's the big element. And then you got the linebackers here where you had Jelani Tavai and Jawan Bentley for a number of years. You now bring in Robert Spillane and Christian Ellis, which is a little more athletic, I think, in the middle. But how are they going to cover the middle of the field against this Raiders group, especially Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, that can work the middle of the field so well? And you look at the safeties as well. You know, Jabril Peppers got surprisingly cut from this team, which I thought was really interesting and pretty controversial. Del Pettis did look really good last season towards the end of the year, but that's a big ask to come in and replace Jabril Peppers too. So how is that spine of this defense going to look against a team that loves to play the middle of the field? That's my biggest element for the Patriots in this game. And then we're going to get to the offense after that. But there's a lot of interesting elements to this new look offense as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, you covered, I mean, listen, this is your team. The whole thing is I try and know more about 31 teams than whoever's listening. Obviously, I'm not going to know more than the team you're a fan of. Yeah, I mean, it's, that's totally good stuff. I was going to say, just one stupid point I thought of is that these are your two, like, favorite quarterbacks in the league.
I do love Geno Smith, and I do love Drake May. Yeah, I mean, I like both of these guys a lot. So I think Geno's really good. I think he's due for a big season. I think he's going to be awesome. He was running for, like, people say offensive lines are bad and love to blame offensive lines for quarterbacks taking dumb sacks. Geno Smith was running for his life last year. Yeah. That was a really bad offensive line situation. Besides Charles Cross, respect to Charles Cross, that was a really bad offensive line situation. I don't think this is like a tier 1 offensive line for me, but it's much, much better than what he's in. This team has an identity, it feels like, and they're going to set Geno up, I think, with a lot of opportunities to have time to throw with that play action and with that running game, because Ashton Jeanty is going to be involved a lot because they drafted him that high. So I'm really excited for this Geno Smith season. I think when he has time to set his feet in the row, he's an excellent quarterback, and I think that he's going to have a lot of opportunities here with Bowers and Myers and Amari Cooper.
Yeah, this is a really exciting game. Kyle, I am a little bit concerned for the Patriots as well. You have a quarterback with a young quarterback in his second year in a new scheme, first game in a new scheme. How well does Drake May handle actual, there is hype around this. Last year, Drake May was good enough for him to make some good plays in a game that his team was absolutely going to lose in. Like, now he has to, run the offense and do the little things, and we'll see how well he handles all that.
Yeah, it's a big element to this game, too. I think the toughest thing for the Patriots is, I don't want to write off the team after 1 week or anything like that. I trust in Josh McDaniels as an offensive coordinator, just because I have several years of experience of him being good. That being said, I also think this is a team that's going to look much better towards the end of the season than it is at the start of the season, as a lot of teams are in general. But this is a team starting Jared Wilson at left guard, who's a rookie, Will Campbell at left tackle, who's a rookie, Travion Henderson and Kyle Williams are both projected to be, play roles in this offense at the bare minimum. And if anything, Henderson's going to be a much bigger part of this offense as well. I still like Demario Douglas. I like what I've heard about Stephon Diggs in camp. And I also think between Diggs and what we saw from Kayshon Boutte towards the end of the season, if there's one concern I have for this Raiders team, it's definitely the cornerback room with Eric Stokes and with Darian Porter, who I liked in the draft, but is a rookie, in a 4th-round rookie at that. Yeah. Could they go at those corners a little bit with Boutte, who showed really good job stretching the field last season, and Diggs can still route run with the best of them.
Yeah, I agree. That has to be the pathway to the Patriots winning. Kyle, let's move on. Unless you have any more final thoughts on the Patriots.
No, I'm excited. That's all.
Yeah, that should be a fun game. I'm going to give you a game. Texans at Rams. Rams 3-point favorites. Where are you going?
All right, I'm going to go with the Rams. This just kind of feels like a vibes thing for me, honestly. I like both of these teams. I like both of these defenses. I think that there is a case that the Texans defense could overwhelm them. I think this line should honestly be closer because I think both of these teams are going to be pretty good defensively. I think this game's going to look more like a rock fight than a football game. And yeah, I think that the Rams squeak it out because I still trust them in the fourth quarter, if it's a close game, for Matthew Stafford to go down and get some points.
I like just I don't know, it's vibes. It's a good thing. I mean, I think this Texans defense is going to be really good this year. Stafford is so good at, beating those types of defense, the beating smart defenses. He can do that with the best of them. Again, I don't know how much I'm trusting week 1 Stafford here. He barely practiced with the injury. What are we expecting from him? I'm going to go Houston as my pick. I do think the concern you have with Houston is, will their offensive line get overwhelmed by this Rams defensive line, which we saw what they were able to do against Minnesota in that playoff game. Like, even against Philadelphia, they held their own. Like, that's the biggest concern that I have. But I feel like I do like what we have with the Texans right now. Again, I think sometimes with week one, I want a stable team, the team that hasn't changed a ton. Like, I think my whole take on the Rams is they're going to win 10 games in the regular season and then be awesome in the playoffs. And I still feel like the Texans, I'm going to give the slight edge to right now.
Yeah, they also kind of did the same thing though last year. I mean, they literally won 10 games because they have a division that they feel like they can win pretty easily. It is going to be interesting. We have, but a couple elements to this that are impactful, it feels like, is that we're getting a healthy Nico Collins this year, and we're getting a Christian Kirk who feels like he could slide in as the number 2 receiver. And there is some aspect of that I think is interesting a lot for Texans fans, especially. So you get excited about those elements. You want to see how this offense looks. Like you said, the offensive line, they are justifying the Laramie Tunsil trade, that they have built this offensive line through depth rather than just one superstar talent. I'm still a little skeptical, but we'll see how it works. But yeah, I think you could talk yourself into this receiver group. You could talk yourself into C.J. Stroud making the right plays, and then the defense winning the game, because they still have Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, which is a high-level edge duo as it is, and they might have the best young corner duo in the game in Kamari Lassiter and Derek Stingley Jr. So having those 4 players alone is going to make a defense good. They also have good players around the field around them too. So I think there's a good chance that this Texans defense could be one of the best in the league, if not the best too, which would surprise some people, I think.
Yeah, and I think the Nico Collins thing, I just feel like, whoever the Rams have depth defensively in their secondary, but I don't know if they have a guy who could really hang with Nico Collins. So I think that's too much might be too much. But yeah, we'll see. But the Rams have the vibes. So who could say, Kyle?
They have the vibes. And I mean, I think the one element too is like both of these corners are really good, like I just said, for the Texans. But sometimes, like with the route running of Nakua and Adams, like good corners also may just not matter. Like they're going to find their way open. And if like Stafford, like that's just the thing that scares me the most, is those two are so good at that. And then Stafford is, as long as he has his right arm, I still believe he can make the throws. Is it always consistent? No, but I still believe in Stafford, and I think he can get it done with this team.
Without his left arm, would probably still be tough, like taking the snap.
I think he'd figure it out.
Because like you have to get the snap, and you have to get like the right hand placement. I think that would
maybe like you have take you.
Maybe you have to have someone like you have someone else take the snap and then hand it to Stafford in a way he can have his hand right on it. Maybe that's what you do.
Or like maybe a soft prosthetic that he could just catch the ball with.
Okay, yeah, I guess I don't know if that's allowed or not.
I don't know. We'd have to get IT on that. I don't know.
Okay, Kyle, give me a game.
All right, let's go to the other marquee game of the week. Two of the
Cowboys Eagles already?
No. Two of the biggest AFC challengers. Both are trying to win a Super Bowl. Both have a good chance of winning the Super Bowl. Let's go Ravens at Bills.
Yeah, totally a coin flip game. I mean, obviously the Ravens, I think, they do have just so much talent around Lamar. I do think they have a little bit more talent there. Obviously, with what Josh Allen and the Bills were able to do last year, with the way the offense was able to explode, they pass protect so effectively. I don't know. Give me the Ravens. I feel like I'm more of I feel like I just like the situation a little bit more of Baltimore. I was kind of leaning Buffalo because they're at home in Buffalo, but don't know how much that matters early September compared to later on as well. So I don't know. Obviously it matters some because you have the fans, but yeah, I'll go Baltimore. Total coin flip game though.
Total coin flip game indeed. Yeah, I think I agree. Like, I think I'd go Ravens too. I think that it's just an interesting team. Like this Buffalo team, they were able to just spring Von Miller on teams at the very right times in games, it felt like, and capitalized on it. And, they love to sit in their zone defense, which is how you want to play the Ravens, do all that kind of stuff. I think the defense has a case that it could get stops. But that being said, like, what if it's just not the same without Von Miller out there, and then Lamar Jackson is just able to keep running and do things? I think there is an element to that in this game that I am worried about. I do think the Ravens rushing attack is very talented. Obviously, with him and Derrick Henry, it's probably the best in the league, and you have all that stuff going for you. So yeah, I think the Ravens are still the more talented team, top to bottom. But I mean, we expect this rematch in the playoffs. I want to see both of these teams. I want to see how they look week one, but I'm not going to draw a lot of overreactions from this game whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree. Unless, well, if a team blows out another team, that would be notable. But if assuming this is a close game, I'm not going to freak out over who gets the win. Could be an important game though for seeding here. Again, these are two teams that have aspirations to be the 1 seed, so like this could matter right off the bat for who gets that. And yeah, I mean, you got to bring up the fact that these two teams just played each other. The most recent game the Ravens played was losing to the Bills in the playoffs. The big reason why the Bills won that game was because they protected the football. Ravens had 2 turnovers. Josh Allen didn't have any. Or the Ravens had 3 turnovers because Mark Andrews fumbled as well. And then there was a Mark Andrews drop. It just felt like if this is the playoffs, I'm not sure who I'm taking because of how the Ravens have done in the playoffs in recent years. But week 1, yeah, give me Baltimore.
Yeah. Taking away the big picture element, because we obviously view both of these teams as contenders, just from the week 1 perspective, what do you think is the most interesting thing you want to see about these two teams in week 1 that may like change your mind or change your opinions on them going forward? Is it the secondaries for both teams?
I mean, I don't know. Like if I think if either, like if the Ravens, I mean, maybe, probably. I guess I trust the Ravens secondary is going to be good. I guess. Like I don't think I'd be surprised if that isn't. Buffalo, yeah, probably. If Buffalo's secondary can really hold up. But again, Baltimore isn't like a beat you outside type of team too often. So I doubt we're going to have too many big takeaways from this other than it'll be a fun game to watch.
It is still interesting. They used Bateman and Flowers a lot more than they've used receivers in the past last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is an element to it. I mean, obviously Maxwell Hairston is on IR to start the year, so he won't be out there. So it's going to be Trey White. And maybe they find another depth piece to slot in there if they need it. So how do they hold up? I think is still going to be an element I'm interested in. And I am still a little interested in this Ravens secondary. I really think it struggled out of the gate last year without our Darius Washington. And then he got hurt. So he's out this year. They bring in Malachi Starks in the draft, who I like. They bring in Jair Alexander, who at his best has played excellently. I like Nate Wiggins. I like Kyle Hamilton, obviously. I like Marlon Humphrey, obviously. But, like, how are those new faces going to integrate with this team? I still think is a question mark. I still think it's going to be something that is we have to see. We when in doubt, we trust the Ravens, especially on defense. But that is still something I want to see in this game, especially against a guy like Josh Allen, because this is their competition.
Right. Also, the MVP discussions lasted for forever. I still feel like I see like things on Twitter getting popped up of like, can you believe Josh Allen won MVP? Still like you get that kind of storyline as well. Should be a fun game. Kyle, let's move on. I'm going to give you a game. I'm going to give you another important game, this time because it's a divisional matchup. Niners Seahawks. Where are you going?
Niners Seahawks. Interesting game. I do think it's pretty interesting that this line is what it is. I need to see the 49ers, I think, first, but I think I am going to pick them because I still am of the belief that we're going to see what this Sam Darnold thing looks like behind this offensive line. There are still a lot of Seahawks fans really optimistic about this team, and I don't blame them. This defense has a chance to be very, very good. They still have a guy in Jackson Smith-Njigba who I really like. Has it been frustrating at times watching Kenneth Walker be in and out of the lineup, things like that? Sure. But at the same time, I still think he has talent. There are talented players on the Seahawks offense and a very good defense. So there's reasons to be optimistic, but it just feels like they're running into a more talented version of themselves right now. And I think that is the element that I'm looking at. I think that the 49ers have more talent. I'm excited to see Ricky Pearsall in year 2. That's a guy people are really excited about. McCaffrey healthy. You'd like Ayuk out there as well, but there's still a whole ton of talent on this offense that I think is going to be able to make it work.
Yeah, the San Francisco, big part of their issues have been injuries. They're not fully healthy right now, but they're at least mostly healthy right now. So that that's certainly should be good. And I totally agree with you. Again, we talk about all the moving parts. This is a completely new look Seahawks team, especially offensively. Their defense is mostly the same, but their offense, although they do have some new pieces there as well. But every team has some new pieces. The offense, right? It's like Darnold, new system, offensive line, where we saw in that playoff game with Minnesota last year, where it really kind of struggled once the pressure was getting there. You have Nick Bosa, who you'll have to deal with. Like, that is the concern. So yeah, I'm with you. I have San Francisco as well, but it could be a good game. I could see Seattle pulling off the home upset.
Yeah, and as we said, this is an interesting time to watch the San Francisco defense. I know Robert Saleh's coming back, and people are just saying that's going to be okay. But there's a whole lot of new faces to this defense that we're not used to. There is still Fred Warner. There is still Nick Bosa, 2 stars at their positions when they're healthy. Fred Warner's a first ballot Hall of Famer, all that kind of stuff. But, there's a whole lot of faces that are new in this secondary. There's, the faces next to Fred Warner at linebacker are new. The faces next to Nick Bosa on the defensive line are new. So that is all going to be very interesting to me. I still just wonder, how is Seattle's offensive line going to hold up in this game? And then how is Darnold going to handle that behind an offensive line that isn't necessarily ready to hold up all the time? So I think those are elements that I'm still looking at, but I think that if 49ers are able to still find pressure, I think they're going to win the game.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on, Kyle. Give me a game.
All right, rolling right along here. All right, let's go with, I could have listed this a little better, I think. Let's go with the Minnesota Vikings at the Chicago Bears.
Kyle, we are in lockstep. My list has been unchanged since we've been doing this. So we, which is weird because the lines are kind of all over the place. But yeah, I'm going Minnesota. Minnesota's 1.5 point favorites. This is the Monday night game, and again, it's kind of similar to what I'm saying of like, I'm just going to trust the stability right now, where you have so much, new faces with the Chicago Bears, entire new interior, new scheme. How is this all going to work? Now, the Vikings have a new quarterback, so the JJ McCarthy aspect of this is completely, up in the air, but it's not Caleb Williams was like great last year. I don't know what to make of either of these quarterbacks, really. So this is the complete, like, if you told me what's the game that you could see either team winning in a blowout, this is like the first overall choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of interesting elements. How is JJ McCarthy going to hold up in his first game is obviously the biggest one. He steps in here. I still think they made the right move not paying Sam Darnold, going with the young quarterback. I justify it. But still, it's a lot of change to bring in a new quarterback into the system. So I still think it's going to work out, and I trust in Kevin O'Connell. I think he's a great head coach. I think he's a great offensive game planner. I think that they have a really, really good offensive line that got better in the offseason. They have Hawkinson, Adam Thielen, who they brought in. Justin Jefferson should play. Aaron Jones is still a good running back. You have Jordan Mason for depth. There is so much talent in this Minnesota team. I'm still of the belief that a lot of quarterbacks, good and bad, could step into this situation and survive. And that is still my justification for this thing. So I think McCarthy's going to be okay, but still, it's one of those things you shrug at because, like, there is still a good chance that it goes wrong too, and this doesn't work out.
Let me throw something else at you. So for the longest time, Jared Goff struggled against Brian Flores, right? That was kind of the thing. It's like Brian Flores just has Jared Goff's number. All of a sudden, Jared Goff starts to beat Brian Flores. Is it possible this is the Ben Johnson thing? Not to take credit away from Jared Goff. I'm sure he got better at it as well. But is it possible that Ben Johnson maybe has Brian Flores' number and he can figure something out here? Again, it's interesting staying in the division. These are coaches that know each other well.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely possible. Like, I'm not putting it past. I mean, I trust Ben Johnson as an offensive play caller to match up with almost any defensive coordinator in the league, right? Or maybe even outsmart a lot of any defensive coordinator in the league. So I think it's definitely possible, but still, we talked a lot about Caleb last year, and there was a lot of recognition stuff that went unnoticed, and there was a lot of hit pieces in the offseason blaming the coaching staff for those situations. But Brian Flores is going to throw a lot of tricky stuff at him and make him guess and make him try and make decisions before the snap that are going to be difficult. And Caleb Williams has to rise to the occasion. So show that there is development and prove that this was a year one thing with a bad coaching staff in a bad situation, because there is talent here. They have the best offensive play caller in football last season in their room, maybe second behind Kyle Shanahan. You still have talented receivers. You added receivers in Colson Loveland and Luther Burden. You have DeAndre Swift in the backfield, and you got an awesome offensive line with a lot of resources there too. So we'll see. We'll see how it all matches up. But yeah, I think there is a chance. Like you said, I could see either team winning this game by 20, and it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. Kyle, this is a big time overreaction Tuesday. This will be, Colin Cowherd is licking his lips at this game of whatever happens. Either Caleb Williams stinks or he's awesome. Either JJ McCarthy stinks or he's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I do think if the Bears blow them out, the Bears are Super Bowl contenders and swindled the whole league and got Ben Johnson and now Caleb's unlocked. That is probably going to be the biggest overreaction if they win unless JJ McCarthy throws like multiple pick sixes. I think that's going to be the takeaway if they win big. But
there could still be should never let Sam Darnold go. And then again, if Caleb Williams is bad, there will be the Caleb Williams of the bust stuff too. So there's going to be some takes.
Can't wait. I love sports media. Sports media has been buzzing today. We need more content. That's what I figured out.
Yeah, no kidding. Also, we have to interrupt this for an ad.
We do?
No, we do not. No. Well, only show here. Only show left that doesn't do ads.
Yeah. There's no planting trees business done here. We're all about our carbon footprint and making it bigger.
Well, I don't know about that, but let's move on. Kyle, I'm gonna give you a game. Speaking of a take, I'm gonna reach on one because I think there's some real upset potential. Bengals taking on the Cleveland Browns. The Bengals, who always start slow. Defense has been getting crushed, even in the preseason. You got Joe Flacco and the scrappy Cleveland Browns. Who do you have winning this one?
Scrappy. Oh, man. I mean, I have to take the Bengals, but I am a little scared now. Like, we've seen this team too many times bite us in the butt. So, yeah. I'm a little nervous. Like, I'm definitely uneasy about this. The Bengals have to prove it to us, but I picked the Bengals to make the playoffs. And, you can't win the regular season. You can't win the Super Bowl week 1. But as the Bengals learned last year, you could certainly lose it week 1 because they make the playoffs if they beat the Patriots week 1 last year, who was one of the worst teams in the league. By all metrics, we're anticipating the Browns being one of the worst teams in football this season. We have talked about their quarterbacks over and over and over again all offseason. We don't think any of them are good. We like David Njoku. We like Jerry Jeudy. Do we like anything else on this offense? Not really. There are a few nice pieces on this defense. Maybe that's where that scrappy Cleveland Browns thing comes from. I don't know. But the Bengals have to prove it to us. And this should be a game where you get the easiest week 1 slate for the second year in a row. You can't mess around with this one. You have to go out there and kick some ass. Like, let's just, let's not mess around. Let's get T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Chase Brown involved in this offense. Let's get them touches early. Let's show that we are the Bengals and we are going to score points on everybody because that is how you're going to make the playoffs. This defense isn't going to do well. It's not. Could it do good enough in this game against Joe Flacco and whatever this Cleveland Browns offense is? It should. But this defense isn't going to be good. Go out here and score 35 in this game and set the tone for the season.
Yeah, and don't give up 38. Yes, I agree. I mean, I think, but I guess here's the pathway to the Browns winning. It's concerning that I can easily think of one, which is the Browns do have a offense. They do have talent offensive line wise. Run the ball a lot. Keep the possessions short. And, make it an 8-possession game. Be effective. Joe Flacco doesn't turn the ball over. Just plays solid football, and then the Bengals make one mistake offensively, and also Myles Garrett is going to be going up against a bad offensive line for 60 minutes. Like, this is the Bengals aren't perfect offensively. They have 3 amazing players on offense. That's kind of the thing. So, I don't think this is impossible. In fact, Kyle, in my notes, if I was given this game, I was going to pick the Cleveland Browns. That's how much I feel like the Browns could make this happen. All
right. I should have given it to you then. Yeah, I mean, I see the case for it. Win ugly, get this defense involved. That being said, you even mentioned the offensive line. Yeah, it's pretty good, but at the same time, Jerome Ford is their starting running back right now. He's more of a passing back and that kind of thing. You probably want Quinshon Judkins out for this game if you want to play that game. And I mean, he still hasn't signed a contract. So, I think there are zero excuse for the Bengals to me. There's zero excuses. They if if they lose it, like this will be the one overreaction I have from week 1. If they lose this game, I'm writing them off. They're not making the playoffs. So you can write them off for me if they lose this game because I can't do it anymore. Like I think heads have to roll by the end of the season if they miss the playoffs because they lost to the Browns in this game.
Well, and the whole thing was like, oh, we got to be better. We can't keep losing these week one. So let's play in the preseason. And then their defense just got torched, and Joe Burrow got like beat up every game. Basically, it's like, okay, well, that's not maybe how they were hoping this would go.
Yeah. How funny would it be if they lose this one again?
Yeah, come on, Joe Flacco. Let's make it happen. Kyle, let's keep things moving. Give me a game.
All right, let's keep it moving here. We are going to go with Panthers at Jaguars.
Yep, Kyle, again, we're in lockstep here. Once again, this was the next one on my list. I'm going to go, sorry, Michael, in the chat. I am going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars here. I still just feel like I have too many question marks defensively for the Panthers. I do like Liam Cohen as a play caller. I'm interested in seeing what happens with this Jaguars offense. I do feel like this is one of those, like, similar to the Raiders Patriots of like the winner of this game can definitely talk themselves into some some good stuff here. But again, I just feel like for the Panthers, it's all, their whole receiving core is young players. Like even Bryce Young, I was really impressed with him towards the end of last year. He is still a young player. Like I just feel like I'm more trusting Jacksonville, but I do think there is upset potential here.
I think there's upset potential too. I think that again, the Panthers are a team that have a good offensive line, even though, it's not going to look good if Aquanu's not playing. I think he's listed as doubtful right now. That's definitely a tough loss. But it's still a pretty good offensive line. They have 4 good starters still, even beyond that. So can they hold up at left tackle? We'll see. But can they run the ball with Chuba Hubbard, who looked really good last season, with Rico Daldo as a backup, with Trevor Etienne, their first-round pick? Can those guys set the tone on the ground, get something going for this team? I think there's a possibility to that, and kind of similar to what we just said with the Browns, they kind of win that ugly fashion. Bryce Young is asked to play and play action. We saw what he could do last season, throwing the ball down the field. I think he's got a chance there to be pretty good. But that being said, I still worry about this Panthers defense. I want to see it. There's a lot of new faces here. I think there are some good players that they brought in, even if they're not great players. I think the Jaguars still have an edge on the outside. And I think that's where you're going to see Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter have an impact in this game.
They have an edge on the outside, and the Panthers don't.
Yes.
There's no edge there. They need to figure that out. They got some young players. We'll see how it goes. Michael in the chat says, going to Panthers, Jags, ready to sweat my tail off. Well, that'll be fun. I have fun with that. Hopefully it works out.
I've gone to a week 1 game in Jacksonville. That's as tough as it gets, man. That's brutal. It's like 120 in that arena. It's just insane. They need a roof. Like, just put a roof on that thing.
Yeah. They got the pool.
Yeah. I don't have the money I don't have pool money. So sorry, guys. Just put like the Hard Rock Stadium, the Hard Rock roof, where it's not a dome. It's just a roof on it for Miami. And then the road team gets the sun. It's great. That roof is fantastic. Just put something up for the fans. That's
brilliant. Where it's like the only non-shaded area is the opponent's sideline. Like that's like 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like it's so good though. But yeah, it was incredibly hot. Of course, they don't do free waters or anything like that when it's 120 in the stadium. So people are passing out. That's what we need.
Kieran says Kyle was 100% in the hot tub in the Jag Stadium with 2 cigars in one hand. Was that true, Kyle?
I can neither confirm or deny the reports here, but you're gonna have to prove it.
We got to talk Panthers here. We got to talk Panthers Jaguars a little bit more. I mean, the one thing I will say is excited to see Derek Brown back. Excited to see these. There are some interesting young players in the secondary for Carolina. I don't think this is a done deal, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, a lot of interesting young players, and then interesting young players for receiver. We saw Brian Thomas Jr. year 1. Travis Hunter's coming in with a lot of expectations. I'm excited for both. I'm interested in both of these teams a little bit. Like, I'm not ready to write off. Like I said, like before the season, I was talking with other people, and I was like, NFL is so weird at times where things change year to year that anything is possible. It feels like every year there's 3 or 4 new playoff teams every year. no matter
Yeah.
what. And one of them will come out of left field. I feel like preseason right now, the only teams I'm 100% feel like I'm ready to write off are the Saints and the Browns and the Jets, maybe. So like, in the Jets, those three teams. 29 teams. I think like there are definitely long shots. I would consider both of these teams longer shots, especially the Panthers because of their division too. But it's not an unfathomable thing that these teams could scrap their ways 9 wins. So I want to see it happen.
Yeah, always tough to win in that dreaded NFC South, toughest division in football.
Well, you got a team at the top that's going to win the division. That's the problem. You know,
I think the Texans would argue they do it. Texans fans would argue they do as well. But we're getting
Tampa's
bugged
better. Tampa's better than Houston. That's what it is.
Okay, well, I hope you're right. Kyle, let's talk about another Florida team, but not quite Tampa just yet. Let's go Miami versus Indianapolis. The 1.5 point favored Daniel Jones led Indianapolis Colts. Who do you have winning this one?
A lot of intrigue in this game for sure. I am going to. I'm going to take the Colts. I'm not going to lock it up. I'm going to take the Colts though. I just have no idea what to think of this Dolphins team this season. So I'm going to take the Colts. I think that they're going to run the ball. I think this offensive line's still good. I still think there's good players in this defense, and they don't have a quarterback that's going to go out there and lose them games. So like Daniel Jones is not perfect. He's not going to raise the ceiling of this team or even but he's going to raise the floor even a little bit to where I think the Colts can go out and win this game. So yeah, I'll take them to win.
I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised the Dolphins are underdogs in this game. I feel like my concern about the Dolphins is that like they can't have like one of like 4 injuries to happen, and like those guys are all injury prone. Now I believe let's see, there was the report that came out I believe during this show that Tyreek Hill, Devon Achane, Jalen Waddle all should be good to go on Sunday. So the fact that they're all listed, all talked about is like we have to mention that isn't ideal, but the fact that they all should play is good. Like I just feel like there's too much top end talent for the Miami Dolphins. What I talk about the Colts is like they're just like fine in every single position. And like you're right, Daniel Jones won't necessarily lose you the game, but he also isn't going to. I mean, he'll lose you the game in the sense that he won't be able to do enough offensively to win you a game. Like he's not going to throw 4 interceptions probably, or be like Nathan Peterman out there, or even bad Anthony Richardson out there. But like, I trust Tua way more than I trust Daniel Jones. So I'm leaning Miami for this one. I feel like again, long term I have concerns about Miami, but week 1 I feel like they tend to be good at starting off strong.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a case for it, and this team historically has been good in September. So at least in the Mike McDaniel era, so I see the case for it. All their guys theoretically are healthy. We're gonna get Darren Waller snaps too. How about that? Does that change your pick at all? I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a ton of speed on this Minnesota team or Miami team that I think is really interesting. Achane's still there. It feels like everyone's ready to write off Tyreek Hill when like bad Tyreek Hill is still like a fringe 1,000-yard receiver and dealing with injuries. There's still a lot of talent there. I think that the offense is probably being slept on more than it should, even though it's a bad offensive line. I do worry about this defense though, and we'll see how it looks in week 1 because I do think, I am a believer in Tyler Warren as a pass catcher. I do think we're going to get a Michael Pittman bounce back season because it just felt like he had no chemistry with anybody last year. And I think he's going to come back and have a decent year with even a guy like Daniel Jones. And you have Jonathan Taylor, who probably needs more carries than he got last season, but is still a pretty good back too. So I am very interested to see this Miami defense where, yes, you still have Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. Chop Robinson look good too. But this secondary looks a whole lot different. And without Jalen Ramsey, I don't know how much I love it.
Is this the rare week 1 loser leaves town game?
I don't know if it's a loser leaves town, but like there's definitely going to be a lot of conversations if one of these teams look really bad. Like Mike McDaniel is on the hot seat this season. And Shane Steichen probably is on the hot seat this season because it didn't go well. And, there is the element of, yes, she was in the organization a lot, but she is a new owner taking over, and like Is there going to be changes if things don't work out? Is she going to have more input on things if it doesn't work out? I think a lot of that is a huge element to this game too for Indianapolis, where they have to perform too. They have a lot of pressure on themselves, and that's probably why they went with the veteran quarterback who at least provides a floor.
Yeah. We'll see. This is another, we have someone in the chat saying watchable game. I agree. Watchable game.
Yeah.
That's a good, like, it's not like I'm not excited for it, but I'm like, yeah, this will be it'll be on TV, and I'll be like, oh yeah, this is a good game.
Yeah, I definitely think this is going to be one of those ones that, like, if you do the multi-view, like, it's probably going to be one of the ones in the corner. And I think that is going to be I think that's a very justifiable excuse. I think it should be fun.
Yeah, I agree. Kyle, give me a game.
Here's a game that I don't think is going to be fun. Steelers at Jets.
Yeah, this is ugly. This is gross. Revenge game. Kyle, you know how we love our revenge games of Aaron Rodgers going to the team that he signed a 2-year contract with. They went completely all in on him. He played, it didn't work out well. He wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. Wasn't great either. Now, can he get his revenge on the team that went all in to get him?
The team that gave him everything. They better watch out. They better watch out. He's going to exact his revenge. He will prove them wrong. They should have given him more.
Yeah, Kyle, I'll lock up the Steelers here. I don't know. I guess it's also a Justin Fields revenge game. I just feel like the Steelers have a really good defensive line. Like that, I know that the Jets' offensive line should be pretty good, but that feels like it's going to keep Justin Fields, give Justin Fields some trouble here. I actually kind of like the Steelers' defense as a whole, not just their defensive line. Yeah. And then, I think Aaron Rodgers was fine last year. I think he'll be fine this year, and I think fine will be good enough to score score at least 3 points more than the New York Jets. So give me first lock of the season, and it's on Aaron Rodgers. So how about that?
That's probably the right side of this. I think they can win this game by a field goal. I agree with you. This Steelers defense is fascinating. I think they got better out of that Jalen Ramsey trade. I'm not a Minka Fitzpatrick guy as much. I think he's good, but I don't think he's as much of a game changer as Ramsey is. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm just a guy on TV, not TV.
You're on TV.
YouTube.
When did you get on? Yeah. We're broadcasting now. I guess maybe we do have to have ads.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we could use a TV deal. Whoever wants to pay us, feel free
I would immediately do ads if there's a TV deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think though Jalen Ramsey is a game changer, and I'm just a guy on YouTube, so you can believe what you want. This defense should be really good. There's just not a lot of weaknesses to it. You look at the linebackers. Linebackers is good. Secondary is very good, especially with Ramsey in the mix. And then you have Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, all those guys. You kind of just believe it's all going to work. I agree with you. Here's my question, because this isn't going to be the game that Jalen Ramsey shows his impact. I mean, the Jets might throw the ball 15 times in this game. I think that's how this offense is going to look. I think we're going to get a lot of Braylon Allen, Breece Hall, Justin Fields running plays this season, and then they're going to throw up to Garrett Wilson a few times. Is this Jets defense now getting slept on a little bit? Where, yes, it's imperfect, but you're still looking at a team that has a Sauce Gardner on it and still has some interesting pieces in the secondary. Could they just win a few games ugly this year? I'm not saying they're going to win 9 games, but could they win 5 games ugly this season? And the Steelers love to play ugly, and maybe that just plays into the Jets' favor.
Maybe. That's an interesting take. I mean, I think there is a real chance this could be year one Dan Campbell with the Lions of they lose a lot of games, but it's this team is losing to great teams by 3 points. I could see that. I think Dan Campbell's Lions in the first year were against the spread, they were amazing. I could see something like that happening. So maybe there's a concern locking it up against them. But again, week one, I just don't know if this is when it happens.
Yeah, I probably agree with that. But yeah, they have a young and talented offensive line. They have 2 highly rated young running backs, and they have a running quarterback. I just kind of see the script for this game. That's what the Jets want to do. They're going to play this game on the ground. They're going to see what these guys can do. And yeah, they're probably still going to lose a lot of these games, but they're gonna try and make it hard for you. They're gonna hit those guys in the middle and make it painful.
Yeah, A lot of people in the chat talking about Aaron Rodgers. Said he was, I think, pretty good. He was pretty good last year. I watched every game he played. Like, he was pretty good. Like, he was not prime Aaron Rodgers, but he was like probably the 15th best quarterback in football last year, according to me, and like every other metric you want to look at. So I don't know. That's my take. I think that the narrative got overblown.
Yeah, the issue was he was paid and treated like a top 5 quarterback and performed at a top 15 quarterback. Not that he was the reason they lost football games.
Mm-hmm. And like the other stuff, like the bringing Nathaniel Hackett on, like the Devontae Adams thing, like all that stuff is fair to criticize. I'm just saying, like the play itself was not why the Jets were bad last year.
Yeah, but now he's paid a little more properly, and he's got he doesn't have the keys to the city essentially. So how is it going to look? And I still like a lot of these pieces on this Steelers team. They bring in DK Metcalf. That's going to be an interesting element to this too. I think he's really good. But he's due for a bounce back season. Calvin Austin III has had moments. Roman Wilson is a guy they're really excited about too. You have 3 running backs that all are like, it's not a bad running back room, even if there's not like a really exciting guy in it. And then, I think that they have a case to kind of make this all work with all these players.
Yeah. Let's move on. Kyle, I'm going to give you a divisional matchup between a team that won the division last year and a team that's won the division for past few years, and a team that is trying to change that. Maybe not the one you're expecting. Chiefs Chargers. Where are you going?
Yeah, completely justified. Honestly, you could probably talk yourselves into picking this game sooner too, because it just feels like these teams always play really good games. And especially the Chiefs just managed to play a lot of close games. I am taking the Chiefs. I still, the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. I'm interested in seeing how this offense looks. Obviously, they're not going to have Rashee Rice for this first 6 weeks, so that changes some of the elements. But I still think this Chiefs team is built to throw the ball downfield more and more this season. I think that's what they want to do. I think they want to be more aggressive. I think they want to get Mahomes doing what Mahomes did at his very best, which is throwing the ball downfield and using the athleticism they have on the outside. I'm very interested in seeing how that offense looks in that situation, because the Chargers defense did play well last season. They had good players in the secondary last season. But, how is that all going to look in year 2? Cornerbacks can be fluky, and these are not a lot of big-name corners that played at high levels last year for the Chargers. Can this defense do it again? And how do they match up with Kansas City, I think is interesting.
Yeah. They always seemingly play good games that the Chiefs win, right? Like, it just feels like that's consistently what happens. Last year there was that crazy game where there was the doink at the end, clinch the division for the Chiefs. I guess the one thing I would say is, again, the Chargers like to run the ball. They, obviously drafted Amari Hampton to try and be better at running the ball. Can they kind of just, the Chiefs actually do a pretty good job at stopping the run historically, but can the Chargers just, this feels like the game that's like, both offenses are going to play well, but it's going to end like 24-22 because like there's going to be so little possessions.
Yeah. Yeah, their 2 games last year ended 17-10 and 19-17. So like we saw the game script for this team last season, and that is the element of the Chiefs too, where if they're going to look like they did the last couple seasons, it's going to be a lot of long drives on their end too. So the clock is going to run in this game, and I think both teams would be okay with that and try and win at the end of the games. And that's why you have 2 great quarterbacks, because you want them to win at the end of those games. The Chargers element of that is interesting. Like you said, Amari Hampton steps in. Who knows how much Najee Harris is going to be involved week 1 with his eye injury. But you are going to see the running backs run the ball. Even without Rashawn Slater there, they're going to use that running game. They're going to play action. They're going to use Ladd McConkey a lot too. And it's fascinating because that's another side of the ball too, where I look at the Chiefs, and I think metrics pointed to the Chiefs defense being good last season. I think largely it was, but I still want to see this secondary tested this year, because I think they caught a lot of breaks last year with who they played and how they played them and when they matched up and who got hurt and all that kind of stuff. And you can't make all the excuses. You have to play who you play. You can't help that. But, in a year 2, could Ladd McConkey be that guy and cause them a ton of problems?
Yeah. It should be fun. Again, I can also see, like, isn't there a chance the Chiefs, like, this offense just clicks and they're just like awesome week 1 and then everyone's like, oh no?
I feel like I'm much higher on Xavier Worthy than the rest of the world right now. I took him in all 3 of my fantasy teams.
Okay.
I've been talking him up all off season, and like, yes, he was up and down in the regular season, but it felt like if you just took away some of the weird like mistakes with like miscommunication or him stepping out of bounds with his second foot and all that, like rookie mistakes, like it just felt like he was due to add like another 200 yards and a couple touchdowns last year. And then all of a sudden they got to the playoffs and he was the best player on the offense besides Patrick Mahomes. And I just feel like I'm taking crazy pills that people saw what he did in January in those biggest games and are just like, oh, but he sucked in the regular season. Like, he didn't stink, first of all. He was just young, and young players get better. There's a reason why he played his best football in January. I really think he could be a tier top 20 receiver this season, and I think that he has that talent.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I've always been a believer in like when a guy has a good regular season and like a great postseason. I'm always like, okay, it's possible you just happen to have your best games in the biggest moments. So it doesn't always mean because you got better at the end of the year, but it might be that way too. You are right. I mean, he was trying to catch the ball out of bounds whenever possible last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he had some of the goofiest plays, and it's like, it just felt like rookie mistake after rookie mistake. And that's the thing I probably justify it the most of. Like, if it's like a 7th-year receiver who's like good in the regular season and does like the Julian Edelman thing in the playoffs, like, I justify it. I think that's a little different than a rookie having that same moments in January. I think he just was a huge part of this team by the end of the season.
Yeah, we'll see. And again, I'm excited how this offensive line is going to look. Josh Simmons, will he be what they need? It should be fun. Kyle, give me a game.
All right, moving on here. We have, we're going to go with your team. Next closest line on the board, I think I have to go with it. Let's go Bucks at Falcons.
Interesting. Yeah, I thought maybe you were going to lock this one up, given how everything's going. So I'm interested in seeing exactly where you're going with all this, because you have to lock up one of the next 2 picks. But Kyle, I am going with the Buccaneers to win this game. Surprisingly late in this show. Again, I would have picked it one before had I, but I thought you were going to lock it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. 1.5 feels disrespectful for me, at least. Granted, the Falcons did sweep the Buccaneers last year, so I kind of get it, and it is in Atlanta. But like, I don't know. We just talked about this last week, but there's a lot of hype around this Buccaneers team. The Falcons, Michael Penix has played like 3 games of NFL football ever. He doesn't play preseason. They didn't play him in preseason again. They just lost their start. Both teams are missing an offensive lineman, a tackle. Both the blindside protector, because the right tackle for the Falcons, the left tackle for the Bucks. But the Buccaneers are missing Chris Godwin, so you have some key misses there. But I just feel like Todd Bowles playing against a young quarterback, who did look very good when he came in, but still looks like a rookie, right? Like a good rookie, basically. I'm kind of rambling, but like, yeah, give me the Bucks.
I agree. I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons to justify it. Like, yes, they're missing Chris Godwin and Jalen McMillan, who's on IR to start the season, but they're still really high on Emeka Egbuka, Tej Johnson. You still have Cade Otton in the mix. You have Bucky Irving and Rashad White out of the backfield that can both catch the ball. This Tampa offense should still be pretty good. And if there is a team you're going to miss your all-pro left tackle against, it's probably the Falcons in the way we saw this pass rusher look last season. So I think that's all justified. That being said, like, there is still a ton of talent on this Atlanta team. And, we mentioned that the Buccaneers defense got a little tested at times last season, a lot of injuries. We'll see how it looks this year. But we saw what Drake London looked like at the end of last season with Michael Penix. Bijan Robinson obviously is Bijan Robinson. He's amazing. There is still a lot to like here. And like, if Penix can get them the ball, then maybe the Falcons team goes up a level than we expected, because Penix could change this team if he looked a lot better. This was a trendy team last season, Brain and Kirk Cousins. What if Penix is just better than Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, well, that maybe not the hardest bar to clear, but right. Yeah, I mean, Cousins put up over 500 yards against Tampa Bay, one of their matchups. But Drake London was what scares me in this game, because I just feel like for Tampa Bay, like, they should do an okay job at handling Bijan Robinson. He's Bijan Robinson. He'll get his yards. He'll get like points. But like the the thing about the Buccaneers secondary is, do they have like a lockdown corner? Jamel Dean will probably start the game against like Drake London, and that just feels like it could be a disaster waiting to happen. Like that's the concern I have is, could we just see a lot that way where Atlanta can move the ball down the field?
Yeah, and that mismatch can cause problems. And while Zion McCollum did play well last season, like Darnell Mooney's not a bad number 2 either. He proved that last year as well. He was very good. So how do they handle those matchups? I think is going to be interesting on the outside. I do think they're going to try and scheme some weird things, throw some things at Michael Penix he hasn't seen before. That's what Todd Bowles likes to do. Mm-hmm. And he has the pass rush, in theory, to be able to pull it off with Hassan Reddick in the mix if he's back to himself. So we're going to see some weird stuff from the Tampa Bay defense, especially the front seven, how Penix handles it, and can he get the ball to those outside receivers in what should be mismatches, even though it's not a disaster for Tampa Bay. McCollum and Dean are still good, but it still feels like a mismatch in Atlanta's favor.
Yeah. Kyle, let's move on. That should be a fun game. 4 games left to talk about. I'm trying to play strategy wise here, giving you a game that maybe isn't what your lock is. Let's go Titans Broncos, just because, hey, if you have to lock that up, that's a two score spread.
Yeah. No, this is justified. It's not my lock though. I am going to take the Broncos. I really do like this Broncos team a lot. I'm optimistic about them this season. I think that I would feel like I've said over and over again this in the offseason pods, I think you have to be kind of crazy and or biased to pick anyone outside the top 3 in the AFC, the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Ravens. Those are the best 3 teams. If I were to pick a team to be 4th right now, I would pick the Denver Broncos. I think they are really good. I think Bo Nix has showed himself to be really capable in year 1. Is he a superstar potential? I don't know about all that, but I do think he showed he can be very good. I think that they are going to be pretty better on offense, especially with some running game in there. They bring in Evan Ingram, who I think is a tight end that he's going to love, just the way he likes to throw and where he likes to put the ball. Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims played pretty well last season too. So I really like what they're doing. I think the offense is going to be better, and this defense is what this team's built on. They had maybe the best defense in football last year. They bring in Drake Greenwald. They bring in Talanoa Hufanga, 2 staples of that 49ers defense for a year. And yeah, I think that's going to be a really good team. They should win. But there is the element that scares me a little bit, just because, what if Cam Ward is a number 1 pick for a reason and he's a star? And we've seen it for a few years now. We've seen some guys hit. We've seen some guys miss. But, what if this is the new Jaden Daniels thing from last season? He's awesome right away. Then all of a sudden that changes everything for this Titans team. That's what they're hoping for. I think they'll even take if he's just pretty good in year 1. But, there is an element that he could be amazing right out of the gate.
Yeah, even the Jaden Daniels, it wasn't perfect week 1, right? Expecting week 1, it's probably a bit too much. I think it's enough to scare you out away from the lock, which was kind of why I gave you the game with a 7.5 point spread. But yeah, I mean, there's Broncos defense. It's a tough week 1 matchup for Cam Ward having to go up against this Broncos defense. I feel like at least it's not a super clever defense. It's kind of just we're good at our scheme, and you're not going to be able to fit through a tight window, which I think young quarterbacks can sometimes handle a little bit better. But you expect Cam Ward 100% will throw an interception at some point in this game, right? That's just it's going to happen.
It feels like it's going to happen for sure. And Surtain obviously was the defensive player of the year last season. He's awesome. Hufanga is a very opportunistic player. It feels like one of these guys is going to get their hands on a ball and make a play. So, I think it would be crazy not to expect him to make a few mistakes, right? Especially against this team week 1. So I definitely see it. But that being said, he's got some decent pieces. Look, you got Calvin Ridley, who played well last season. You got Tyler Lockett, who is a professional. He knows what he's doing. He's all reliable.
When your number 2 pick, your compliment is he's a professional. That's maybe not I'm not saying it's horrible, but that's maybe not the best compliment.
Yeah, but this is a bad team. This was a bad team last year.
Right.
I think they would take Tyler Lockett just being a professional this season. He's going to get open. He's going to catch the ball, and he's immediately going to fall to the ground because he doesn't want to get hit. He's old. So, yeah, it makes sense. Tony Pollard is a capable running back. They have options here. They have things they can do. I think Chico Okonkwo could be a pretty interesting player this year, too.
Again, the compliments, capable, interesting. Like, there's no, like, good, other than Calvin Ridley, you said.
This team won 3 games. What would be your expectations for all these guys?
No, I agree with what you're saying. It's funny how you built it up as like, oh, there's a lot of like good stuff here, and then you gave one guy a compliment.
Yeah. Better stuff than you would expect.
Yes, that I agree with. I think I am excited to see Cam Ward play football this year. I think it might just like, let's not freak out if he doesn't have a great week 1.
Yeah. I agree. Like, look, I could
like
see the
hands,
Broncos.
2 eyes.
Don't tell Najee Harris that. Watch out.
Yeah, I guess not. Or Jason Pierre-Paul.
Yeah, I think look, it wouldn't shock me if the Broncos win this game by multiple scores, even like 20 plus. But like, yeah, they have a very talented quarterback on the other side, and maybe it works out right away, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will see indeed. Kyle, 3 games left to talk about. Give me one of them.
Cowboys Eagles.
Okay, interesting. Wow, Kyle, biggest point spread, not even giving it to me as the next game. Now, is part of this you don't want to have to lock up the Eagles here?
Yeah, I don't want to do the 8.5 point game. So
yeah, I agree. I was going to give it to you for that reason. That would be a bit of a tough lock. I'll say this: I think 8.5 is a bit aggressive here. Like, I get it. The Cowboys defense, they won't be able to rush the passer, especially against Philadelphia. They should still have some like guys who can make plays in the secondary, whether we love them on a down-to-down basis or not. Like, you still have to be careful there. And then I think that the Cowboys offense should still be pretty good, right? Like, I think that in some new pieces with the Eagles defense, they did. I mean, they changed almost half of their starters from last year. So while it still should be pretty good because they were so deep last year, it's still like, we'll see how this all works. So I think I'm hopeful Dallas can make this a good game. That being said, this is a travesty for this to be the opening game. And this is, definitely obviously picking the Eagles to win. What are we doing here with this? Kyle, remind me this during the Super Bowl. When the Super Bowl comes around, we got to just root for whoever doesn't play the Cowboys the next year because we need AFC teams to win. I don't want the Cowboys. Why are the Cowboys always given the first week? Give me something. Like there's so many good options. Like Eagles Lions, perfect week 1 matchup we could have had, and except we're doing this thing.
Yeah, it's gonna drive the ratings. It's gonna be that element of it.
Yeah.
I think this 8.5 definitely feels like we're trying to say that the Eagles are very good and the Cowboys are very bad. This is usually a very bad team kind of line where I think the Cowboys, I don't have them making the playoffs. I don't think they're very bad either. Like, this is an interesting test for this Eagles defense, which, like you said, has changed a lot of pieces in 1 year. They had to let some guys go. They let a lot of guys go, including guys I didn't think they needed to let go, like C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slade, those sort of things. But they're believing in the system. They've drafted really well in the past. I think Howie Roseman deserves a lot of credit, benefit of the doubt in this situation. So I don't see any reason to pick against it for sure. That being said, a lot of these young pieces now stepping into starting roles have a good test, I think, against the Cowboys team when healthy. Dak Prescott has looked good. CeeDee Lamb is still good, and they add George Pickens to the mix. I think this is a tough test for defense in week 1 for sure.
Yeah. Other thing to note, Kyle, the Philadelphia Eagles, they do have a bit of a question mark with we talked about the whole Kenyon Green thing there, which I don't believe he's supposed to start, but will they be able to block Kenny Clark? Will Kenny Clark take over this game?
I don't think so. Didn't Kenyon Green get cut?
Oh yeah, I think he's on the practice squad now.
Yeah, I think they brought in, who's the other guy they liked?
They
really like this Tyler Steen kid, I think is his name. Yeah.
Okay, yes, Tyler. That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think he'll be okay against Kenny Clark, but it is another element to change here for this Eagles team. But yeah, I think that they have I think there's still a ton of talent. I expect them to move the ball a lot in this Cowboys defense, and that's the adjustment for 8.5 is they're going to score at will. It feels like because. Even with Bland back, I still think this Cowboys front is going to have some issues. They're not good against the run, and they're even worse against the pass now, especially on the defensive line. So that is a big issue. But that being said, could the Cowboys score with them? I don't think it's impossible. I think that's the reason why you justify it being a little closer.
Come on, Cowboys, give us a game at least. We want don't let's be 40-0 like the Sunday night opener, the Giants Cowboys a couple years back. Give us something here, Kyle. 2 games left. It's my turn to give you a game, so I'll give you go for divisional matchup. This is the one that you're going to lock up. Giants taking on the Balls. Finally, we're going to talk some balls, Kyle. Who are you locking up? I think I know the answer.
Yeah, I'm going to lock up the Balls. I did prefer to lock the other game, but this is a fine lock too. I think they should win this game by a touchdown. I am interested in this Giants team a little bit this season. I think the defense could be very fun to watch. This should be a really good defensive line. And they added pieces of the secondary. I still can't get over with the number they got Javon Holland at. I think it's a good number, and he's a good player, obviously. That being said, what we saw from Jaden Daniels last season, I think Jaden Daniels is a star. I think he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. I am overreacting after 1 year, but I don't care. I think he is that good. I think this offense for Washington should be really good. I think I have questions about the defense, but as much as I don't think Russell Wilson's a stiff, and I think he's going to throw it up to guys like Malik Neighbors and Darius Slayton and see what happens, I don't think they're going to get torched in this game in the way they could get torched in other games. So I think Washington should win this one by a touchdown. I think the offense should be able to do its thing, and Jaden Daniels gets off to a hot start.
One thing I like about Brian Daboll is he isn't afraid to just say oh, this is working. Let's just keep doing this until it stops working. I feel like sometimes people overthink this. I remember with Buffalo, there was a game where he was just passing every play because he's well, I mean, the running game isn't working, passing is, so why would I do anything different? We saw that last year with his willingness to just throw it to Malik Neighbors a bunch. And I wonder if that's going to happen again in this game. In fact, I feel like it's probably going to happen again, right? This could be another one of those Malik Neighbors is getting 50% of the targets game.
Yeah, and Russell Wilson does love a good target who's not afraid to go up and get some balls. So, yeah, I think that is a strategy that is probably going to happen a lot in Giants games this season.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, I mean, you gotta respect the Balls here. I mean, this is a team that was a win away from a Super Bowl appearance. They're even if we maybe have some questions about did they fully take the next step with the cap space and all the stuff they had, we will see a lot of questions in that secondary, but maybe it'll be answered. Maybe Lattimore will play great, and all of a sudden, they look great. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if the Washington defense does look good this season, that changes the ceiling of this team. And me picking them not to make the playoffs will be a huge, huge miss. But yeah, I think that defense does have some questions they need answers, and we'll see how it looks.
Yeah. Final game, Kyle. I know we didn't go a ton on the Giant Balls here, but we can, we did a whole preview on all these teams. Cardinals Saints. I mean, we gotta spend a while on this game. I don't know. Definitely a great week 1 matchup. This is a college football type week 1 matchup for the Cardinals. We expect, who knows, maybe Spencer Rattler will take that year 2 jump, but on paper, Saints, we talk about them being not great pretty much anywhere. The Cardinals, a team that has aspirations to make the playoffs. Kyle, you picked them to make the playoffs, and this feels like a tune-up game perhaps for the Cardinals.
You cannot tell me that America's team is going to go on the road to New Orleans in week 1 and lose. You can't do it. I think that they have the huge advantage. They have a match advantage on offense and defense and special teams probably too. Give me the Cards here. I would lock this one up. The Cardinals are winning this one by 20, and I have no fears. So, yeah, I think Kyler is going to be due for a big game in this one. I think he's going to run all over this old, washed-up New Orleans defense. I think that they're going to throw the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's due for a big game. And then, you're looking at this new-look Cardinals defense with some talent against Spencer Rattler. No chance. Yeah, Cardinals win this one. America's team gets off on the right foot.
Okay, yes, Kyle. Sticking with the America's team thing for the Cardinals. I mean, Kyle, you said 20 points. So if I give you a 19.5-point spread, are you picking the Cardinals still?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you want to bet a point on it?
No, not week 1.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, all of a sudden, once points are involved, now not so confident.
Listen, I can't get cocky after 1 championship. We are focused on the task at hand, which is winning a second championship. So I can't get cocky right now. I gotta stay locked in.
Yes. Kieran says just accept the 90-minute show. Although at this page we're looking at hour 45. Kieran, we're done. This was the last game. We are looking at slightly under 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think we went a little long, but we'll be fine. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. We did the Micah Parsons thing slowed us down a bit. But we spent longer on the games than we usually would have because we're excited to be back, Kyle. Tomorrow there is football. I'll be making videos on all of the probably Cowboys not going so well things, but we'll see. Maybe things can turn around. Football's back, and also I gotta say, big fan of the Brazil game. I like having a game on Friday too. It's especially a bummer if the first game's kind of a blowout and you have to wait another few days. I like getting a couple games right off the bat.
I had no idea this game was in Brazil this year. That's so funny.
It's the Friday games in Brazil, the Chiefs Chargers.
What a funny game to put in Brazil too. All right,
that's what they did last year too, right? With the
Eagles. Packers Eagles, yeah.
And that was a weird thing. People keep all of a sudden I hear a lot of people saying like Jordan Love was awesome week 1. Like, no, he wasn't. That was a weird game where like both quarterbacks were bad but kept putting up points.
Yep, it was a bad game.
Yeah.
And both of their turnovers helped the other team score points. That was the difference. So,
right. And then there's a couple I think both quarterbacks had like wide open like 80-yard touchdowns or something like that like they barely did anything. Like that was a very weird game. So hopefully get more of that.
Yeah. I'm all for a weird game. We'll see how it goes. I don't know what the weather's like in Brazil this time around, but it should be fun. I'm ready. Let's get after it. We got tomorrow night, we got Friday night, and we're gonna have fun.
They should do a game in Brazil like in like December, so because then it would be like summer there.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that'd be really hot. It gets hot in Brazil. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be fun. And Brazil's big. You could do it like North Brazil.
I think North is hotter than South.
Well, is it? Well, not on the southern hemisphere, right?
Well, no. Northern Brazil is still closer to the equator. It's still hotter closer to the equator than it is.
Oh, right. Yeah. So you need. Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, right. You're right.
You gotta reverse
South
it.
Brazil. Yeah. That's the issue.
Yeah. I think that would be interesting. I mean, we're gonna get games all over the world. We're definitely getting a Saudi Arabia game soon. That's happening. Like
Maybe.
That's just
if Red Zone has ads, anything's on the table.
Yeah. Poor Scott Hansen. He's got to put up with ESPN.
Yeah. That's tough.
If I see Pat McAfee there with Scott Hansen one day or Stephen A. Smith, I might drive to Bristol myself and I'll start something. I'll start a kerfuffle.
My hottest take, I think, is I don't hate the idea of the Super Bowl being not in America. Like I've been talking about it being in London. My thing is like Super Bowl crowds suck now. Like let's just throw it in London, see if it works better there.
I mean, yeah, but I think it's going to be a bunch of rip schnobs that go to any of those games anyways. Like the Super Bowl
that's my point. That's why I'm like, whatever. Like put it where, have it in the ocean.
Yeah, I think, you're getting the same like unbelievably wealthy people at these games.
Right.
Like it's there for like businesses that they give it to their sponsors and their advertisements. Real fans aren't going to the Super Bowl anymore. It's way too expensive. Like you just see the cost of those things. Like you're spending a mortgage to go to a Super Bowl. Nobody's doing that.
Yeah, unless it's not your mortgage. Unless it's only because you make a lot more. Kyle, let me know where you can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Gronin, and make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Of course, like audio only podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast, search On the Sideline Podcast. It should be available there. That is our show. We will be back midnight Eastern time after the games this Sunday. We're going up to two times a week once again. So everyone be on the lookout for that. We will be live right after all those games to break everything down. Should be a fun week. Kyle, any final thoughts 90 minutes in or ready to get out of here?
No, let's get out of here. The Red Sox are already losing 7-0 today. So don't have much to do tonight, I guess.
Rays are all of a sudden they're back. We're like 3.5 games out.
Yeah, I think we're going to make the playoffs, but now Roman Anthony's probably out for the regular season. So put a damper on the season for sure. It's
annoying that the Yankees started winning again.
I mean, they beat bad teams. That's what they do. They beat bad teams. That team's not real. That team's not good. So I don't care.
Yeah, okay, we'll see. Again, thank you everyone for watching or listening. We will be back. Kira says 90-minute show. Yeah, it happened. We got 90 minutes. Again, thank you to everybody. We'll see you on Sunday, Sunday night. I guess technically Monday morning. But until then, have a good one.
Peace.